I'm Dave. I am the host of Vintage Comic Show and Tell. And here we are again. I have Mick and I have Peter. And they have a couple of stacks of books. And I'm really not even going to do a lot of introduction other than, why don't you kind of tell us what we're about to do?
Well,
We're looking at some Bizarro stuff, right?
yeah. I mean, I brought some. This is a little bit uncharacteristic for me. I don't have too much in the way of superhero books, but here and there I've been trying to collect some nice representative copies of Superman titles. So an occasional adventure or action or Superman. So I've got these two adventures, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to kind of get Peter's take on a few of these because he's got so much knowledge about some of the crazy stuff with Bizarro, and at some level I think we can open this up and get some shots of some of the crazy stuff in here. But yeah, this one right here is Action 285, which is the kind of like the baseball issue.
Adventure, yeah.
Yeah, the first appearance of Bizarro World. So, Peter, what you got?
Yeah, well, just a couple little things you might not pick up on the cover until you really stare at it. The flag is reversed. The American flag is reversed with the stripes and the stars and stripes, and the baseball down in the corner is a cube. Yeah. So, just like their planet was cubic, not spherical. So this was the beginning of a series called Tales of the Bizarro World. It started in Adventure 285 and ran through 299. The Bizarros had appeared before this in a couple of scattered stories. Bizarro was an imperfect duplicate. He was kind of a clone, but he had sort of this faceted white face and weird looking hair. They talked ungrammatically, and they were especially famous for doing things in reverse. That was the thing. They do everything backwards. Besides the square base, there's a Bizarro Crypto in the background. Sure. There's a bunch of other Bizarro Supermans and Lois Lanes. If you notice, he's holding the bat the wrong way. He's like holding the opposite end of the bat. And the Bizarro #1, he was the first of the Bizarro clones, says, "You hit ball over fence for home run, Superboy. You out." So if you hit a home run, you're out. That's how it was in the Bizarro world. They do things opposite.
And this is a Superboy story.
This is a Superboy story, yeah.
Right. Did he show up first in Superman or Superboy?
Actually, Superboy. He first appeared in Superboy. That first Bizarro actually died or was destroyed at the end of that story, but several months later, I guess readers liked it, so they brought back, the writers brought back Bizarro in a Superman story, which I think we're going to see in a minute. Oh, we're going to see it right now. Yeah. The duplicator ray that created the first Bizarro, Luthor got a hold of it and shined it on Superman and made another Bizarro Superman. And then came a Bizarro Lois Lane, and they went off to a dead planet and made it their Bizarro World, which was populated with lots of Bizarro Supermans. And basically every DC character seemed to, at one time or another, appear as a Bizarro. You had Bizarro Lois Lane, Bizarro Lana Lang.
Even sort of like crossed over into Batman, right?
Yeah. There was a Bizarro Batman,
Bizarro Joker,
Yeah. Pretty much any. I can imagine the editor saying, "You don't have a story idea, just do a Bizarro. Take somebody and make him a Bizarro." And so the original Bizarro character was kind of like he was a little bit like the Frankenstein monster.
Yeah,
he wasn't evil. He was misunderstood. He just wanted to be loved. Like all of us. As they kind of evolved, they turned them into what I call lovable goofballs. I mean, these stories in adventure comics were just wacky, crazy, goofy, super Bizarros doing backwards stuff. I don't know if they would be very politically correct these days because we're being encouraged to laugh at people that look different and talked funny or talked different. But they were intended to be humorous, and they had like a 16 issue run in Adventure Comics. I think they appeared on every other cover.
Wow, that's pretty significant.
And this run from Adventure 285 to 299, they were written by Jerry Siegel, who was
Okay.
Joe Shuster's.
Yeah.
He was one of the co-creators of, or the co-creator of Superman, along with Joe Shuster. He wrote those stories.
So there's some stuff in here that's just, it's hilarious. And I thought maybe you'd give me some thoughts on some of the.
First of all, this is a really nice book.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a nice
Pages
copy.
are really white.
Yes.
It's
Smells of mothballs, I might add. And I do love mothball smelling comics. I know that's kind of a weird thing in this hobby, but once in a while you run into comics that smell like mothballs because they were around mothballs. They were stuck in a closet somewhere. This one clearly was stuck in a closet. You can't smell it on the video, but just
I
imagine.
smell notes of mothball with
Yes,
a slight
yes.
cedar chest finish.
Yes, yes, yes. So give me your thoughts on this, because there's some crazy stuff that happens, and they're the Bizarro World. They're all making commentaries about different things. But I thought you of all people would
Afraid to
know.
touch this nice copy.
Go for it.
I washed my hands.
It's okay.
This one was drawn by Wayne Boring. I think the ones after this were drawn by John Forte.
Okay.
Fort. I've never known how to pronounce his name, but he also
Plastino did one or two. No?
he did. Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He did some of the early ones. They have children Bizarros. They never explained. Like, there's a story where Bizarro Superman comes back from outer space and Bizarro Lois has a child. But they were a lot of the Bizarros. I mean, were supposedly created by this duplicator ray. So where do these children come from? Because there wasn't like a baby Superman to make a duplicate of.
Well, who was in charge of the duplicator ray?
Well, Lex Luthor had it first, but then.
I only asked that question not really expecting an answer,
but
then there actually is an answer.
Yeah, well, yeah, Bizarro Superman took it with him, and when they went to form their own Bizarro World, he would shine it on other. He would basically make more Bizarro Supermans and Bizarro Lois Lanes and everything else. Oh, there's a Bizarro Crypto. See, he shines it on a regular crypto and creates a Bizarro Crypto. Bizarros are immune to green kryptonite. It doesn't affect them. But when you shine the imperfect duplicator ray on green kryptonite, it duplicates it as blue kryptonite. And blue kryptonite is lethal to Bizarros.
That explains everything.
So they have their own They have their own version of kryptonite.
Got it.
They made a Mount Rushmore with I think it's got the Wolfman, the Frankenstein monster, Dracula. Those are and I'm not sure who that is, but those are the ones they admire.
monsters in DC without getting any kind of attribution at all.
Yeah.
No attribution of having Frankenstein in the
Unusual
50s.
for DC. Unusual.
Great book.
Yeah. See, I knew this was going to be a gold mine when I put it in front of Peter.
They were.
So you've read this?
Oh yeah, yeah. They were fun stories, and they would pop up in other titles like Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
There was a World's Finest that had a Bizarro Batman. It's a Bizarro Flash. Eventually, a Bizarro Justice League of America, and they were definitely a part of the DC universe for quite a while. Bizarro was still around, at least in the 80s. And they made him kind of, like they make everything, kind of darker and edgier. I'm not sure if he got destroyed during the Crisis on Infinite Earths. He might have.
That would have been a good place to dump him.
Yeah, they might have. And he might have been gone after the Crisis. But then, they kind of. I haven't kept up with it, but they've kind of undone everything from the Crisis anyway. So I think Bizarro is back. I know the animated cartoons have Bizarro.
Okay.
The live action Superboy series from when was that? 80s, early 90s. That had a Bizarro episode.
So what do you call them? Mxyzptlk?
There was a Bizarro Mxyzptlk too.
Mxyzptlk.
Mxyzptlk from the fifth dimension.
Mxyzptlk.
Mxyzptlk. I may not be saying it right. I don't know, but
If he's saying that wrong, please correct us. Can you say it again?
Mxyzptlk.
Now, doesn't he have to say? Doesn't someone have to say his name backwards at some
Well,
point?
the idea is Superman would have to trick him into saying his name backwards, and he would zap back to the fifth dimension where he was from, and he would have to stay there for at least 90 days. There was a Bizarro version called Clipizixum. Bizarro.
Oh my gosh!
And so Bizarro Superman was trying to trick him into saying his name forwards. And there, in the story that he first appears, he actually says his name forwards and nothing happens. So I'm thinking that maybe because he's a Bizarro and things are backwards with them, if he says his name forwards, instead of zapping to the fifth dimension for 90 days, he stays in this one for 90 days. I don't know. They never explained it. But, these are the kinds of things that I think about.
Right? Yeah. Did you like Mxyzptlk? Mxyzptlk or Bizarro? Which one kind of won your readership? Was there a preference to one?
Well, Mxyzptlk appeared lots of times. He would come back every 90 days or so, I guess, or whatever that is in comic book time. And
He was a Golden Age character.
he was a Golden Age character at first, and then he reappeared in the Silver Age with a different costume, and he would come back to just basically like to just prank Superman. That was his thing. He was just a pest.
Yeah.
And Superman would have to find some clever way to trick him into saying his name backwards. So this is Adventure Comics number 210, introducing Crypto, the super dog. This is a charming story. Crypto was little bit, well, he was sort of little baby Kal-El's pet. I guess he was really more of a lab animal. Jor-El, was testing rockets to escape from Krypton. He took little Crypto, put him in a rocket, shot him off of Krypton, but the rocket didn't come back. So he kind of went, well, back to the drawing board. Anyway, Crypto's rocket kept going, and it left the red sun zone. He became super powerful because he got away from the red sun. And he busted out of the rocket ship and went romping through space for years. And then he found his way to Earth and was reunited with Superboy. And I guess realized that, oh, you're baby Kal-El, but you're grown up now. So they're overjoyed to meet each other. But then Superboy is worried that Crypto is going to accidentally reveal that Clark Kent is Superboy, because Crypto doesn't really care about secret identities. So Crypto would do something that would jeopardize Clark Kent's precious secret identity. So the whole story was kind of around that. He was just this lovable super dog, and at the end of the story he flew off into space to chase meteors or something, but he would come back, and he appeared in lots of Superboy stories. He's a beloved super pet.
This has been reprinted a bunch of times, right?
Lots of times, yeah. It really is a charming story.
How long have you had this book?
I bought that in the 80s, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, 1986 maybe.
Wow.
I actually bought that at a show in New York City.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Were you glad to find it when you did?
I really
Was it hard?
was.
Was it tough to nail one down and to fit your budget and everything we go through?
Yeah,
for books?
and again, back then that was pre-internet. It's not like you would walk into a comic book store and there's a copy of that on the wall or something, or even at Comic-Con.
This is not
to
a
hunt around.
Hulk 181. This is a super tough book. Even in low grade, this is tough to get.
Sure, it was really heavily read.
Oh yeah, you can
Not
tell
collected.
it was well loved.
Across collectors, I think most people, want to get a copy of that book. That's you kind of would imagine. Oh, everybody wants a copy of Spider-Man or whatever, but that's true. But that right there is also highly beloved amongst DC collectors. I don't have a copy, and I'm super jealous. I would love to own it.
I don't even know if Danny has a copy of that, and he collects Superboy.
Mm-hmm.
He has a full run of Superboy.
I'd wager he's got a copy.
He's got to have a copy.
He's got to have a copy.
Yeah.
But I'm going to ask him next time I see him.
Yeah,
Or he'll
that's a
let me
great
know for
book.
sure. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, this is Superboy 82 with a Bizarro Crypto. If you have a character, you can make a Bizarro out of it. So yeah, they made a Bizarro Crypto, and there were there was more than one Bizarro Crypto. This Bizarro Crypto actually faded away at the end of the story, but that duplicate array made another one. So if you run out of them, you just make more. But I do like Bizarro stories. This is like a great crossover. Crypto, Bizarro Crypto. He says, "Me imperfect double of real crypto. Me hates Superboy. Will destroy him." He didn't really destroy him. He had a change of heart.
Yeah, but he looks pretty
All bark,
vicious.
all bark.
Yeah. He does look pretty vicious.
He
Pretty
does.
vicious
He
on
does
that
not
cover.
look friendly.
Yeah, he's not taking names. He's serious.
Yep, he's going.
Yeah.
This is another super pet. Now you can't. You can only tell from the cover by looking down at the very bottom logo. This is Meet Supergirl's Super Cat. We had a super dog. Now we have a super cat. Supergirl was a backup feature, of course, in Action Comics. So that cover story is not part of the Supergirl and Streaky story. They kind of look like Bizarros, but they're not. So Streaky was just a regular cat. Linda Lee, Supergirl's secret identity, adopted this little orange cat who had like this kind of lightning streak mark on his fur, and she called him Streaky. So, okay, this is Silver Age. It doesn't have to make sense. But, this was back. So this was early on in Supergirl's existence, and she was still kept a secret. She was kind of like a superhero in training. Superman didn't want her to go out and fight crime in public yet till she was trained and ready. She got this idea that I want to be more helpful to Superman. I know. I'm going to see if I can invent an antidote for kryptonite. So there she is with this chemistry set, and she synthesizes this little glowing green marble and go, well, that didn't work. This piece of kryptonite over here still hurts. So, like any responsible scientist, what does she do with it? She throws it out the window. I mean, she actually throws it out the window. Like, well, that didn't work, so I'm going to toss it out. So this glowing green marble lands out in the grass or the woods somewhere, and the cat happens to find it, and as cats do, starts batting it around. And this glowing radiation makes him super powerful. What she had done was invent accidentally X-kryptonite, which makes regular people turn super powerful temporarily. So Streaky becomes a super cat. I think it lasted like 24 hours, and she makes a little red cape for him, and she doesn't know how he got his powers, but they have little adventures like Superboy and Crypto, and his powers would fade away, and then when they wanted to bring him back, he'd find the marble and bat it around again and become Streaky, the super cat. Although later on, that little X-kryptonite marble became less and less. It almost seemed like he was just a super cat all the time. Maybe enough charges, made him super forever. I think the marble got rolled up in a ball of string, and he would be batting that around. So Supergirl, I think for a long time, had no idea why he kept getting superpowers. But that was Streaky the super cat.
Yeah.
All right.
I have one more Superboy and Adventure comics, and I really didn't get this for the story, but for the cover. I just it's one of those ones where the colors just pop on it, and the main reason more than anything is that it's kind of a partial wash tone.
Yeah, like
It
the
has
clouds and
the clouds.
sky.
I mean, do you ever buy a comic book for clouds? But I do. I bought the comics because that one has wash tone-y clouds, and it's got that cool color scheme, going for it. So I just thought, you can't go wrong with this thing. So
Kind of reminds me of Tatooine.
Yeah,
it's like there's something
Just
like
a little bit.
there's something like candy-like about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the colors.
It looks like like something you might find in Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of thing. I don't know.
I love that whole futuristic Krypton City. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this is Superboy 76, which introduced Beppo, the super monkey from Krypton. So Beppo was another lab animal who actually stowed away on baby Kal-El's rocket, unbeknownst to Jor-El or anybody. Just like Crypto was romping off in space for a while, Beppo also was, and he was a little. You can tell from the cover he was a little scamp. There he is ripping the tires off. I think he's ripping the tires off some bad guy's car.
That is one super powerful.
Yeah, it's not a bad guy. It's
Yeah,
Kent.
yeah, it looks like Paul.
Yeah, he would kind of hang around and sort of cause monkey trouble, and then he'd fly off into space like Crypto, and he'd come back. He would come back once in a while, but he was a thing. I mean, he was a recurring super pet.
So the super pets were their origin stories were released one at a time.
Yes, yeah.
So slowly but surely, now this is the third animal.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
This is 3.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay, so this one, you can't tell from the cover, but this story actually introduces the Legion of Super Pets, where they all come together, kind of like the Justice League.
This is the first appearance of Legion. Okay, very
Legion
good.
of Super Pets.
Very good.
So you have Crypto, Streaky, Beppo. This introduced Comet the super horse without any backstory. He was just suddenly, there's a super horse. And I'll get to that in a second. And then the fifth one was this little a little blob, basically, that was a shapeshifter. He was called Proty. Well, okay. The first one was called Proty. That Proty died, so the next one was called Proty 2. So technically, the one in the Legion of Super Pets was called Proty 2. Proty appeared in Legion of Superheroes story where he was adopted by a chameleon boy because he was a shapeshifter. Anyway, make a short story long, those were the Legion of Super Pets. And so what's happening here with the Legionnaires is these villains called the Brain Globes are mind controlling them, so they're attacking Superboy. But it turns out that their mind control doesn't work on animals. Oh. So all the super animals band together to fight the Brain Globes and rescue the Legion of Superheroes and Superboy. And
the Legion of Super Traders.
Yeah.
There's no mention of any of the animals on the cover.
Not on the cover, no.
Or even up here, it's not talking about it. So.
But there is a mention of a brain, a Bizarro Lex Luthor.
This is the first appearance of the Bizarro Lex Luthor, who only does good deeds. He's a Bizarro, so he makes really stupid, useless inventions that don't work. But it's all to do good things. That's the thing I love about raw books is you open them up and you read the story. I mean, you would never know by looking at it that the Legion of Super Pets is in there.
That's amazing.
That's where they started.
Yeah, cool. What else you got?
Well, in Action Comics 293, we discovered the secret origin of Supergirl's super horse.
Is that before this adventure?
That's after that one. Back in ancient times, he was a centaur named Byron. So he was half man, half horse. So Byron, the centaur, was in love with Circe, the sorceress. She would turn men into animals. And
yep.
He was secretly in love with her, but I knew that this was not going to happen. He was half horse. Greek mythology, Zeus, she did all kinds of stuff. A jealous sorcerer tried to poison Circe's well, and Byron, who was a master archer, shot an arrow that broke the bottle of poison before he could poison the well. And Circe was, grateful, and I will grant you a wish. And Byron says, I want to become a man. I want to become, a human, all human. So she gives him this potion, but that evil sorcerer switched her potions. So when Byron drinks it, instead of becoming all man, he becomes all horse. So this super horse had actually once been a centaur. Now he's all horse. Circe cannot reverse the enchantment, but to kind of, take the sting out of it, she gives him other potions that make him super powerful. He's got the whole complement of Kryptonian superpowers, and he's also immortal. So the evil sorcerer managed to banish Comet to a far distant abandoned asteroid or something that he couldn't escape from. Supergirl's rocket, as Kara's rocket is heading towards Earth, it goes past this asteroid and I guess breaks the gravity field or something. Somehow Comet is freed. He flies to Earth, and she doesn't know that he used to be a centaur. he becomes her pal. And he secretly has a crush on her too. There was quite a bit of a backstory to Comet the Super Horse. He was not from Krypton. I think at the end of that story, in the first appearance, it says, "Are you wondering about Comet? Well, read next month's issue of Action Comics to find out." I mean, they intended.
Well, they're both box 12 centers, so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
tells me
yeah,
that they were
yeah.
very close to each other,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I think by the time
We're
this
getting
was
ready to go
out, they
15
had
cents,
planned
right?
they had planned to make him a regular thing. So they all came together as the Legion of Super Pets.
that's great.
Cool.
It's nice seeing these together, by the way.
It's more than anybody ever wanted to know, but it's
No, I
fun
actually
stuff.
like this stuff. I mean, I have some of these issues myself. So
Yes, actually, Proty is not in that Legion of Super Pets.
Proty hasn't made it yet.
Proty hasn't made it's just the four animals, the horse, the dog, the monkey, and the cat. A little bit later in Adventure Comics, when the Legion of Superheroes became a regular feature, starting with number 300, right? They basically booted the Bizarros out of Adventure Comics and took over as a regular feature. It was in a Legion of Superheroes story. Chameleon Boy, who's a shapeshifter, finds this little blob that's also a shapeshifter and is also sentient and telepathic, and he nicknames him Proty, and he's like his little buddy. Proty would kind of sit on this shoulder, and then whenever they needed another shapeshifter, Proty would turn into something. Anyway, there was another Proty, and he got the name. The name Proty 2. So this is called the initiation.
This
of
is the way to
Proty
resolve
2.
any kind of continuity
Yeah, just-
issues. Always just put a 2
Put
after.
a 2 after. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was the second of the Protys.
Taking notes.
And this was Adventure Comics 322. So now you have the full-fledged Legion of Super Pets. You've got the horse, the dog, the cat, and the monkey. And Proty 2 is auditioning to join their legion.
And I mean, this is the first time they appear on the cover as the entire team.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
that's the first time they appear officially as the Legion of Super Pets
That's pretty
on
cool.
the cover.
That's pretty cool.
Proty passed the audition, so he became the 5th member of the Legion of Super Pets.
But they don't call, so they give Streaky's name, but they don't go with Beppo.
Yeah,
they
he was
just
called
say
Beppo.
Super
And-
Monkey and Super Horse.
Yeah, his name was Comet, but they called
Yeah.
him Super Horse and Beppo Super Monkey. Go figure.
Yeah.
Their names were known. This one is called The Revolt of the Super Pets.
Is this one of your original issues?
Yeah.
Okay, you bought this off the
Yeah,
stand.
off the stand. Yeah.
Amazing.
This is Adventure
Wow, that
Comics.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adventure Comics 364. This was drawn by Pete Costanza, I think. He did a short run of Legion of Super. He mostly drew Jimmy Olsen, but he did a few Legion of Superhero stories. Okay, the cover date is January, so I'm thinking it's January '68.
Think about that. That's 54 years ago.
Right.
And he's had this in his collection the entire time.
Yeah, it's
Peter, it's amazing. That's incredible.
it's been loved. It's got a couple creases in it, but some of my books survive better than others. But
Way cool.
the Legion kind of they scolded the Super Pets. I forget why, but the pets got kind of pissed off, as you can see from the cover,
Yeah, they
And-
appear angry.
and they went off in a huff. For some reason, they decided to infiltrate the Legion. So this is what happened. Proty, the shapeshifter, disguised himself as a human and auditioned to join the Legion of Superheroes.
Yep.
And Comet, if he went through the tail of a comet or a comet passed through the sky, he would temporarily transform into a human being. So to infiltrate the Legion, to go for the audition, he went off and found a comet, and it turned him into a human for a while. He had no superpowers in human form, but it turned him into a human for a little while. And he auditioned. Since he was a master archer, he tried to join the Legion as kind of a Green Arrow kind of a type.
Okay.
Anyway, none of that lasted very long, and at the end, they realized it was all a big misunderstanding. The Legionnaires loved the pets, and the pets loved the Legionnaires, and everybody lived happily ever
Pretty
after.
violent cover.
It is. He's like, biting into
Yeah.
Cosmic Boy. And,
What I dig though is Streaky. Look at that. I mean,
You
my
seriously
cat
kicked
has
off.
looked like this before. Like
Yeah.
you get this look from your cat.
Yeah, you
the,
better run.
The next
They're
thing that
pissed
happens,
off,
it's
yeah.
not going to
Do
be.
not mess
Yeah.
with that cat.
yeah.
Well, that's totally amazing. And Peter, I'm so impressed that you've kept some of these from when you were a kid and you've had them this long. That is just unbelievable.
It's a long time. That's a long time to have a comic book.
I reached the age where I should outgrow such things, and I did not. So
Well, you certainly haven't forgot either.
Can you help us with this whole like Mr. Mxyzptlk thing? How do you make Mr. Mxyzptlk disappear?
oh, how do you get rid of Mxyzptlk?
Yeah.
You just have to trick him into saying Clipizixum. Oops.
What are you saying?
I don't know.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. What happened to him?
I knew it. In 90 days, we're going to be able to figure this out.
So-
So hey, the two of us would like to say it's been nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure wherever Peter is, he enjoyed it. Bye.
Take care.
Clipizixum. Oops.
What are you saying?
I don't know.
Where'd he go?
I don't know. What happened to him?
I knew it.
So all along, see, Peter's got a line on this stuff. We know.
You have to watch your arm.
Your arms in it.
Yeah, we're still recording. We're still looking for you in.
It's okay.
What'd you say?